Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the 27th Annual Jesse H. Jones International Awards Luncheon. Please join me in welcoming the World Affairs Council of Houston, Greater Houston's Chief Executive Officer, Marianne Maldonado.
Good afternoon, and welcome again to the 2025 Jesse H. Jones International Citizen of the Year Awards Luncheon. It's good to see everybody. If I can see you, you're kind of dark out there. Great to see everybody. We have a full house, and it's wonderful to celebrate today's honorees. We are truly delighted to have you here today joining us. The Jesse Jones Awards Luncheon is more than a tradition in our city. It is a celebration of values that make Houston such a dynamic and globally engaged city. The Jesse Jones International Citizen of the Year Award honors leaders who have vision, commitment, and contribute, and their contributions extend beyond our borders. People who embody the spirit of global citizenship, just as Jesse H. Jones himself once did in shaping Houston into the internationally connected city we know today. Your presence here is a testament to the importance of this mission. Today, we are investing in the next generation of leaders, generations of leaders that are leaders and thinkers, and they are going to shape our community in the years ahead. The Council's programs, whether bringing world leaders and diplomats to Houston or preparing thousands of students each year through our Model UN program, our Academic World Quest International Affairs competition, and our Global Scholars Academy educational programs, are only possible because of people like you. This luncheon is also about connection. It brings together Houston's business leaders, civic leaders, educators, citizens, and students who understand that in today's world, global affairs are local affairs. The conversations we have here and the support we offer together strengthens Houston's role on the world stage. So thank you for being here, for supporting the Council, and for helping us build a stronger, more connected, and more globally minded Houston. Today, we honor organizations and leaders like HEB for their community impact, Ambassador David Satterfield of Rice University's Baker Institute, and the 2025 International Citizen of the Year, Chevron's Chairman of the Board and Chief Executive Officer, Mike Wirth. And we reaffirm our shared commitment to ensuring Houston remains a place where global engagement is celebrated and future leaders are inspired. I promise that you will leave not only inspired by our honorees, but also reminded of the incredible impact we can have when we come together in support of global understanding. Now, for the presentation of colors, please welcome Westside High School Army Junior ROTC Color Guard, instructed by retired Major Gilbert Gonzalez, and immediately followed by Gabriel Rujada of the University of Houston, who will perform our national anthem. Please stand for the presentation of colors.
Through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. For say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Spectacular. We have an amazing afternoon planned for you. However, before we begin, please, I invite you to enjoy your lunch and your table colleagues.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston's Engagement Coordinator, Eli Quesada.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before we continue with our program, I would like to take this time to give a special thank you to our sponsors. Titanium sponsor, HEB. Diamond sponsor, Chevron. Platinum sponsor, McKinsey & Company. Gold sponsors, United, JP Morgan, and Teneo. Sponsor for our VIP reception, SLB. And silver sponsors to mention, M&G Bank, Bechtel, Chevron Phillips Chemical Company, Coterra Energy, Enterprise Products, ExxonMobil, EY, Halliburton, Portugal-US Chamber of Commerce, Oil State Industries, PPA Resources, Pyxis Advisory Group, Phillips 66, Rice University, Sequitur Energy Resources, and TransOcean. Thank you once more to all the companies, organizations, and sponsors who have joined us here today. And now, please join me in welcoming Chairman of the Board of Directors of the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston, Ken Tubman.
Welcome, everyone. It's really my honor to be here with all of you, such great leaders for your industries and our community. You know, I've been a board member for quite some number of years, and this year became chairman, and it's really encouraging for me to see the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston continue to advance its mission of promoting understanding on global affairs and facilitating dialogues on international relationships and cultures and things going on around our world. This terrific event would not have been possible without our host committee and our board. If I could get board members to please stand up and be acknowledged, please. I just want to thank all the board members for really their commitment and time and resources to make things like this happen and to make the council what it is. It's been over 25 years that the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston has awarded the Jesse H. Jones Award to a prominent Houston resident and citizen who is dynamic, leading change and advancing their industry and our communities. And this year, that awardee, if you allow me, is the 2025 Jesse H. Jones Citizen of the Year is Michael Wirth, Vice Chairman of the Board and CEO of Chevron Corporation.
Okay, well, Ken, thank you for the kind introduction, and my sincere thanks to the World Affairs Council of Houston, to Ken and Marianne, and the Board of Directors for selecting me to receive this distinguished honor this year. I'm delighted to also share the day's accolades with the Honorable David Satterfield, who our company shares a lot of history with him and his career. With HEB, who, as a relatively new Houstonian, I have learned how important HEB is in this community. I spend a lot of time at both HEB and Central Market, and have become a huge, huge fan. And the global leaders of influence, all of whom bring expertise and outsized Houstonian spirit to improve life in our city, the state of Texas, and our country, and the international communities where we serve. It's indeed humbling for me to be among these leaders and the Jones Award winners who have come before me, some of whom are seated here at the head table today. While I'm the first person from our company to receive the award, it is really the people of Chevron who deserve praise for the extraordinary service that they deliver every single day around the world, and especially our 6,500 plus employees who live and work right here in Houston. These are the people who carry on Chevron's enduring legacy of bringing Texas energy to the world, all the while seeking and developing new energy solutions for the future. Energy that's changing our world for the better, creating the economic prosperity, energy security, and environmental progress that people desire and deserve. That is the service that the people of Chevron provide in Houston and beyond. They bring their human energy to their work. And through our active sponsorship and volunteerism with the Houston World Affairs Council, a trusted and productive partner we valued as members for more than 20 years, collaborating on initiatives to foster international business relations, educational outreach, and community engagement, including programs such as the Model UN, the Global Scholars Academy, and the Women's Day Symposium. I could not be prouder of the work that the people of Chevron do every day to provide the affordable, reliable, and ever cleaner energy that powers progress for all, and of our partnership with the Council. So to all of you, thank you very much for honoring me and Chevron with the Jesse H. Jones International Citizen Award. Thank you.
Now it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of LyondellBasell and World Affairs Council of Greater Houston's board member, Agustin Izquierdo.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. It is my honor today to recognize HEB as the recipient of the Community Impact Legacy Award. From humble beginnings, HEB has grown into one of Texas' most trusted institutions, not just as a grocer, but as a partner, neighbor, and steward of community. The story began in 1905 when Florence Butt opened a small C.C. Butt grocery store in Kerrville. Under the leadership of her son, Howard E. Butt, the company evolved, adopting the name HEB and expanding across the state. Over the decades, HEB has maintained a strong tradition of giving, committing to contributing 5% of its pre-tax earnings to charitable causes to support education, disaster relief, hunger relief, and local nonprofits. But the legacy is much more than dollars. It is how HEB shows up when it matters the most. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the company directed millions of dollars toward expanding food delivery into rural communities and partnered with Meals on Wheels to reach the most vulnerable Texans. In times of disasters, from hurricanes to winter storms, HEB's mobile kitchens, water trucks, and coordinated relief efforts have stood as a lifeline to affected communities. Most recently, HEB was ranked #1 in the nation for social impact by Forbes, reflecting the deep trust Texans place in its values and community mission. And today, As we present this Community Impact Legacy Award, we celebrate more than a company. We honor a commitment, a culture, and a promise kept over more than a century to serve, to invest, and to believe in the strength of the community in Texas. HEB, congratulations, and thank you for building a legacy that inspires us all. Please join me in welcoming Winnell Heron, Senior Vice President of Public Affairs to HEB, to receive this impactful award. And also joining us, Sandia Bayot, World Affairs Council of Greater Houston Chief Development Officer.
Well, good afternoon. Nice doing well. Well, thank you, Augustine, for that kind introduction. And I'm really excited to be here with you this afternoon representing HEB. You know, we are truly honored to be recognized with this prestigious Community Impact Legacy Award, and we're incredibly proud of the important work of the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston. You know, we've talked about, and I'd also like to recognize fellow honorees. You know, we talk about the impact, thinking locally but acting globally, and how we can make a difference. And the World Affairs Council truly has been instrumental in promoting education, community, and understanding. And don't we need those things now more than ever? And as Augustine shared, HEB started as a small woman-owned company, and this year we're celebrating our 120th anniversary. And that's pretty amazing. And we're proud to carry on the legacy of Florence, but she was really committed to giving back in the very early days of our company, and we strive to serve our communities every day, especially during times of need. You know, I often wonder what Florence would think now, 120 years later, with over 175,000 partners, that's what we call our employees, and over 455 stores in Texas and Mexico. I'd like to think she would be pretty impressed and proud of all that we've done to continue to advance and support her legacy. Another thing she was very passionate about was education, and we host our signature programs. Many of you may be aware of our HEB Excellence in Education Awards, our Classroom Champions program. But even more than that, we're also proud to support organizations like the World Affairs Council that are making a powerful impact and bringing our communities together. As the World Affairs Council demonstrates one of Houston's greatest strengths, and that's our collective diversity. Houston is known as an international city. We are a hub for food, business, art, and culture, and that reflects the wide variety of backgrounds and people who call this city home. At HEB, we're committed to offering local and global products as diverse as the customers we serve. You know, we started as this small company, and we're truly proud of the relationships that we built over the years with many small, local, and diverse businesses. And one of our amazing Houston suppliers is here with us today. I'd like to give a special shout out to ABC Provisions, a Houston-based company that sources products from around the world, and they have been doing business with HEB for 20 years. And you guys are gonna have an opportunity to try one of their products as you leave today. It's a delicious chocolate-covered fig. So let's give a big round of applause for ABC Provisions. Thank you for being an incredible partner. I'd also like to thank the incredible team at the World Affairs Council, including Sandeha, who I've had a number of conversations with over many months. You know, as residents of our city and state, we continue to become increasingly diverse and our business more internationally connected. We are thankful for your leadership and passion to foster a global community. And for all of the students joining us today, I hope you feel inspired by the many possibilities ahead of you. You are already taking the first step as a global citizen by participating in events with the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston. I hope each of the students here today, and I think there are over 100, I hope you continue to embrace diverse perspectives and experiences while developing a sense of confidence, knowing your skills, hard work, and passion will help make this world a better place. This is just the beginning for each of your bright futures. And so as I wrap up, on behalf of all of us at HEB, we thank you for this special award and for all you do to support Houston and the international community. Thank you.
Hi. One more time, Wendell and HEB, congratulations. I bet part of this room will be at HEB later this afternoon. It's a safe bet, so thank you for all that you do. And as we transition to our next award, Global Education Award, my colleague Ethan will be joining in that recognition as well. Now, just very short marks of welcome. Please join me in welcoming Clay Neff, President, Upstream Chevron, to lead us into 2025 Global Education and Institutional Leadership Award recognition. Clay, come on up.
Thank you, Sandia. Good afternoon, everyone. At Houston's leading organization for global education, the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston equips students to engage with diplomacy and global issues, serving thousands across more than 200 schools from College Station to Galveston. Whether hosting one of Texas's largest Model UN conferences, fielding top competitors in academic World Quest, or equipping learners through Global Scholars Academy, the Council meets students' growing demand for international education. In my role as Chevron's president of Upstream, it is my honor to introduce the Council's Global Education and Institutional Leadership Award recipient, Ambassador David Satterfield. Ambassador Satterfield's distinguished career spans more than 4 decades across some of the world's most complex regions. That includes the Middle East, North Africa, and Europe, where his leadership has shaped U.S. diplomacy in times of crisis and opportunity. Here in Houston, as director of the Baker Institute for Public Policy at Rice University, Ambassador Satterfield has bridged academic rigor and real-world policymaking. At Chevron, we have, on more than one occasion, benefited from his insight and counsel as we've navigated challenging environments across the globe. Whether in diplomacy or education, Ambassador Satterfield has advanced understanding between nations, communities, and generations. Please join me in congratulating and welcoming Ambassador David Satterfield, this year's recipient of the Global Education and Institutional Leadership Award.
Thank you, Clay. Thank all of you here today. And I'll start off by special thanks to organizations that have been very close to the Baker Institute, because this award is not really for me as an individual. It is through me to all of the extraordinary staff, the experts, the practitioners in global policy, Texas state policy, U.S. national policy, from U.S.-Mexico relations, to energy studies, to stability of the electrical grid, to tax and budget policy, to health, and points in between, and a little bit of Middle East thrown in to all of that. They're the ones who really merit this award. But we require partners. And the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston has been a stalwart partner since my arrival here. The work on education, on opening minds and experience here in Houston, which is itself a very open city to the world, to the nation, is absolutely critical. And I also will second the remarks of our previous recipient in welcoming the students who are here today. It is extremely important that young people, and everybody's a young person, young people see the value of open discourse, dialogue, learning from experiences. You don't have to agree, but you have to understand. That's extremely important, and I salute the World Affairs Council for their ability to draw in such a significant and enduring student attendance here. I also want to thank two groups in particular. Chevron, which has been a partner throughout for the Baker Institute. We treasure that partnership. It is, I think, of enduring value, not just for the Institute and Rice, for Chevron as a company, but for Houston, for Texas, for the United States as a whole. We welcome that role, and Mike Wirth, we certainly thank you for the support you and through you the company does. HEB. HEB has an honored place on our Board of Advisors at the Institute. Their role in Houston, in Texas, in terms of programs which benefit Texans, which benefit Americans, is critical. And so again, we welcome that. I stand here receiving, at an occasion in honor of Jesse H. Jones, an award, and 12 years ago, an individual who is an extraordinary Houstonian, Texan, American, global citizen, James A. Baker III, was receiving the Citizen Award. He, like Jesse Jones, believed and believes to this day profoundly in the role of the United States in the world. That yes, American interests must be the first priority of policymakers, but America's interests are served by advancing peace, stability, and prosperity in the world at large. Pragmatism with principles was and is Jim Baker's motto, and it's especially important at moments like today to recall there is no separation possible of Texas from its neighbors, of the United States from the globe, or the globe from the United States. It's our task, it's our duty to try bridging that gap between action, thought, to try to continue to advocate for those pragmatic, principled policies on economics, social issues, national security, which will provide ultimately the only guarantor of a stable and peaceful world for a stable, peaceful, and of course, prosperous U.S., Texas, and Houston. Jesse Jones believed strongly in such a world. He built Houston as a city for the world. Commercially, in terms of education, right across the Fountain Plaza in front of the Baker Institute is the Jones Business School, the former Jones Institute. So we treasure his memory as we value highly the continued example, model that Jim Baker provides for all of us. Thank you all.
Thank you, Clay, for your kind words, and congratulations to Ambassador Satterfield. As the Council's Director of Education, I'd be amiss if I didn't mention the over 100 students that are in attendance today. They come from an array of private, public, and charter schools in the Houston area, representing just some of the over 2,000 students the Council serves every single year. After the luncheon today, the students will have the opportunity to meet with Bruce Niemeyer, Chevron's President of Shale and Tight, to help inspire the next generation of young leaders. But first, when we return, the Council's Chief Programs Officer, Ronan O'Malley, will introduce our keynote conversation. Please enjoy your coffee, your tea, and take a look at the screen above me.
In this busy and fast-paced world, stand still for a moment. Listen. In the heart of Texas, the world is pulsing. A rich and diverse community is growing. Countless stories, ideas, and cultures are coming together in Houston. Imagine a platform that brings together thought leaders, diplomats, and global experts under one roof, with programs that foster global citizens and promote dialogue on matters that shape our world. A place where curiosity meets knowledge, where questions become answers, where there are no spectators, only participants. So step inside, join the conversation, and stay engaged. Because global understanding is not a luxury, it is a necessity. The World Affairs Council of Greater Houston, where the world comes to talk.
Good afternoon. It is my deep pleasure to introduce our keynote conversation for today. Will you please join us for a dialogue between World Affairs Council of Greater Houston's 2025 International Citizen of the Year, Michael Wirth, Chairman and CEO and Chief Executive Officer of Chevron Corporation, and another longtime great friend of the World Affairs Council, Daniel Yergin, a leading authority on energy, geopolitics, and the global economy. Also a best-selling author and winner of the Pulitzer Prize for the prize, The Epic Quest for Oil, Money, and Power. Daniel Yergin is also the Vice Chairman of S&P Global and the founder of CERAWeek. Will you please all join me in welcoming Michael Wirth and Daniel Yergin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, and it's really great to be back at the World Affairs Council. I've had the privilege of talking with some of you over the years, and I want to say I bring a special perspective because I travel the country, and I would say this is the most impactful World Affairs Council in the country, and that's to the great benefit of Houston, and it's very good for the world too, so congratulations to the council. I'm really pleased to be here with Mike Wirth, as he's an international global citizen, and it's a great honor really to have this discussion with you in terms of your experience and the impact you have. I'd like to just start, Mike, by asking, what does it mean to be an international citizen of the world?
Well, I'll echo the comments about the World Affairs Council. It truly is an honor. I think Ambassador Satterfield described it quite well as he talked about Secretary Baker and the impact that he's had. And certainly in the industry that I work in, while we're an American company, our footprint covers the entire planet. And we've, by necessity, have to have people that are global citizens that represent our country and our company every single day all around the world. And so to receive an honor on behalf of our people for the way that they do that is indeed humbling.
So do you have any idea how many miles a year you do as an international citizen?
It's somewhere north of 200,000, but I'm not going to be that specific because my wife's in the audience.
Right. It's Chevron's moving to Houston kind of reconfirmed and solidified the fact that Houston is the energy capital of the world. In terms of your moving here, was it the climate in terms of weather, or was it climate in terms of business that brought you here?
Well, having just lived through my first Houston summer, I wouldn't say it was probably the latter, Dan. No, look, we've got our company, for those that may not know, we're in our 146th year. We began in California, made the first commercial oil discovery in the state of California, which at one point was one of the largest producers in the world. And our company was known as Standard Oil of California. And California had a rich tradition in this industry, and our company helped build the state, build the economy, and a huge part of the development of the state. But it became an odd place for an energy company to call home.
An odd place.
An odd place, because to be honest, we didn't always feel appreciated or welcome. And it increasingly became difficult for us to get people to come there. And so over time, our Houston presence grew. Our California presence was gradually coming down. And at some point, it really did make sense for the company to be located here in the energy capital of the world. And so the universities that we work so closely with are here. Many of the business partners that we rely on for our success are in the room today. The other companies that we partner with are here, and it made sense for us to be here.
Well, as you say, it wasn't something that happened overnight, but I guess officially it's about a year since you've moved here. How's it been? What's the experience?
It's been fantastic. I wish we would have done it earlier. I should have done it earlier. Everything about Houston is just as you've heard today. It is, our home was in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, which views itself as a very international city. It's not as international a city as Houston is. It's not as diverse a city as Houston is. It's not as a central hub for commerce and relationships the way that Houston is. And it's been fantastic personally, and it's been even better professionally.
Right. So obviously you're here in Houston. Texas is pretty significant to Chevron. How does Texas play in the portfolio?
Well, it's, we produce 1 million barrels a day in the Permian, which is just a little bit west of here. We've 300,000 barrels a day in the offshore in the Gulf of America. So we've got huge energy production in this state. We've got refineries, petrochemical joint venture that's got assets here, and over 8,000 employees that work in the state. So it is the right place for us to be, and it's the center of our corporate universe as well.
And the U.S. is it in Texas or U.S. where 65% of your CapEx now, capital investment?
About 2/3 goes into the United States. We produce 2 million barrels a day in the U.S. now, which is
oil and gas?
Oil equivalent, oil and gas.
Yeah.
The single biggest country in the world, and we produce in a lot of other places around the world. But yeah, the U.S. has become an energy superpower.
Right. And aside from Texas, tell us a little bit about your footprint across the country.
Well, we operate in New Mexico. We're in North Dakota, Colorado, out in the offshore here. And then we've got refineries out on the West Coast, in the Rocky Mountains, and on the Gulf Coast. We've got a broad footprint across the United States and across the globe, but this is the center of it.
So tell us a little more about how shale is developing for Chevron.
Well, shale for the company, but also for our country and the world, as you know, Dan, has been a game changer. Over the last decade plus, all the demand growth in the world for oil and gas essentially has been met by U.S. shale production. And we've gone from knowing that the shales were down there, but not really knowing how to produce from that very hard rock, to now unlocking it and driving the U.S. to be the largest producer of oil in the world, the largest producer of gas in the world. In fact, if you look at oil and gas combined, the U.S. produces more today than Russia and Saudi Arabia, who are the number 2 and 3 producers in the world together. And it's not that long ago that they were both larger producers than the U.S. is.
Could somebody have believed this 10 years ago or 15 years ago that this would happen?
Well, you're the historian.
That's after the fact.
No, I don't think people did. I mean, there was a narrative. People in the room that are in the industry, and even those that aren't, will remember the peak oil story, right? The world's going to run out of oil. Saudi Arabia is going to run out of oil, and wars would be fought for access to oil. That was 15 years ago. That's been replaced by a narrative that says the world doesn't need any oil anymore. Both of those turned out not to be true.
It does need continuing investment.
It absolutely does.
So when as you said, 10 or 15 years ago, all the peak oil in the world was going to run out of oil. I look back in the pages of the prize, which I do sometimes, and learn new things. I learned actually the world had run out of oil 5 times.
Right.
So it just, and then always
It's
new
repeating.
technologies and new geographies.
The point you just made, Dan, I mean, the thing that always gets accounted for, underestimated with respect to our industry is innovation and technology, which has always created new opportunity. And this country is blessed with the greatest universities, the greatest service companies, the greatest people in the industry to innovate. And that innovation has usually started right here and changed the world.
Well, one thing that's new is that finally the integration and merger with Hess has taken place. Finally. How does that change Chevron, or what does it mean for Chevron?
Yeah, so for those that haven't followed the story, we entered into a merger agreement with Hess Corporation, who's also got a large presence here in Houston a couple of years ago. Took much longer to get through it than we thought that it would, but we closed it earlier this year. It strengthens our company immeasurably. We have the largest leasehold position now in the deepwater Gulf of America. We are producing 4 million barrels a day today of oil and gas. And it gives us a strong position up in the Bakken in North Dakota, and tremendous people. The thing that I've learned over 43 years in our industry, having gone through a number of these business combinations, is it's easy to put value on assets, refineries, oil fields. What often doesn't get accounted for is the value of bringing in new experience, new talent, and new ideas. And our legacy Hess employees are now Chevron employees. I have tremendous experience. I've met with the team that's been working Guyana, and they are world-class, and we'll be much stronger for the people and the talent that's joined us.
You know, I've heard you, when you did earlier acquisitions involved, I think it was in the Rockies, I forgot which company it was, you made that same point about the talent that comes in from the company that gets merged in. And it's not always recognized when people do mergers.
Well, as a large company, sometimes there can be a belief that you encounter inside our company that we've got everything figured out. And then you come together with a smaller company that's had to work under a different set of constraints and expectations, and you find they've done some things that we never thought of, and they're doing things better than we have in some ways. And so you integrate these experiences, practices, innovation, and talent, and it really strengthens us.
There's been another big change, which is change in national energy policy, about a 180-degree change. Chevron has had a commitment to working on new technologies, emerging technologies, energy transition. What's changed or not changed for how you're going about it, and what are you doing in that area?
Yeah, so our focus in lower carbon energies, first and foremost, is to reduce carbon emissions associated with our own operations. So that hasn't changed. After that, our focus was really on working on technologies that we believed leveraged the capabilities, the customers, and the technologies that we were familiar with. And so wind and solar is not something we've got much experience in or capabilities in, and there's other really good companies that do that. So we didn't get into wind and solar, but renewable fuels, we're the second largest producer of bio-based fuels in the United States. We're in the process of starting up the largest green hydrogen producing plant, which is zero carbon hydrogen in the US and one of the top 3 in the world, which when it starts up, this is in Utah, we'll actually have storage capacity in salt caverns there equivalent to 2 to 3 times all the grid connected batteries in the entire United States.
Wow.
So that leverages skills and technologies that we're very familiar with. Hydrogen's a substance that we use all the time. Carbon capture and storage is another thing that we've been working on. And so the change in administrations really didn't shift our focus because we hadn't over-indexed on some of the things that the prior administration was prioritizing. And so as those have been deprioritized to some degree under the current administration, our business is somewhat resilient to that.
So green hydrogen you're going to produce in Utah. Just why don't you describe what that is and what you're going to do with it?
So it's essentially we'll take water and renewable electricity off the grid in the western United States. And I'm sure the students in the room are very familiar with this. For those that haven't taken chemistry in a while, water is H2O. We'll split the H2 from the O, And the H2 is hydrogen, the O is oxygen. And so we break water apart into the constituent components, and we will create the hydrogen then that can be used in a gas-fired power plant to reduce the emissions in a large gas-fired power plant in Utah, most of the power which goes down into California.
Right. I think you were among the corporate leaders who early on saw that something called AI was going to come along and be really impactful. And I remember you were describing how in 2018 you started sending Chevron people to MIT to become AI fellows. Well, lots happened since then, and data centers have, most people didn't think about data centers 2 or 3 years ago, and it's now inescapable. And certainly here in Texas, where enormous amounts of capacity is being built, what's Chevron doing in this realm?
Well, there's probably 2 things that are worth mentioning. Number one is we will use AI to change how we do our work. And we're already seeing it in some of the work in the shale and tight that we talked about. We're applying it in exploration. We've got a number of different use cases.
It's already happening.
It's already being used. We've been using it for years. We've been working with OpenAI for years.
Yeah.
Before anybody heard of OpenAI, they were actually a partner of ours. So we're using these technologies to produce energy safer, more efficiently, get better productivity out of our assets, et cetera. The big game changer is, and you all read about it, AI consumes a lot of power. And these models are essentially, you hear the people in the technology sector talk about compute. That's these graphic processing units, which are made by NVIDIA, the most notably, but some others as well. They need a lot of electricity. And our country has not modernized the grid or added much electricity demand over the last couple of decades. The demand for these data centers now is skyrocketing. And the other thing that's a fact is, from a policy standpoint, our government, and I think this is not a partisan thing, wants to see these technologies really grown here because they're very strategic. From a defense standpoint, from a competitive standpoint, the US and China are going to be the 2 countries that will lead in this. And so there's a very real national security dimension to this build out of AI capability and technology as well, all of which means we need more American energy to supply that.
Right. So what are you doing?
So we have we're developing a project right now. I can't say a lot specifically about it, but it's, you can think of it being close to a lot of natural gas, which might mean it could be in Texas, with some of the largest companies in the world involved as customers. And the idea is to build world-scale power generation. And this is not what would power a small city or a large city. This would power even more than that, is the amount of capacity we're talking about adding, and doing it in a way that would initially not have to go through the grid. It's very time-consuming to actually tie into the grid now, years and years of backlog. And the grid in this country has become less stable. We've got a lot of variable generation inputs. We got a lot of old technology. And so actually putting more load into the grid is very risky. So we're talking about building power off the grid, which we run 5 gigawatts of power around the world to support remote facilities that don't have access to electricity. So we have to run at a high degree of reliability. So the idea is we can do that for a very specific customer, one of these data center complexes. And we're talking tens of billions of dollars of investment for a project like this by the time you put the data centers along with the power into it. But it is, the demand for it, there are a couple articles in the Wall Street Journal this morning. The demand for it is incredible. And so we see an opportunity for us to help solve that opportunity.
Right. Under the previous administration, hydrocarbons were supposed to be out of electric generation by 2035. That's changed. Does this also mean more gas will go into power generation?
100%. I mean, eventually, nuclear will likely become part of the solution set. But, there's only been one nuclear project built in the United States in the last 30 years. And it took a couple of companies through bankruptcy. The ultimate project cost was 3 times the original estimate as a project in Georgia. And so nuclear has proven to be incredibly expensive, and it's still not very popular in the United States. That's shifting a little bit. There's new technology coming in nuclear, small modular reactors, different cooling systems, and I'm a big advocate for it. It is probably a decade away before we see that actually commercialized. The regulatory process, the supply chains need to be built. And so in the short term, look, the country's gonna have a lot more wind and solar, but data centers run 24 hours a day. The sun doesn't shine 24 hours a day. And so we need baseload, highly reliable power, and that is gonna bring us right back to natural gas.
Well, that leads to a question when we were talking the other day, and if I can summarize it this way. With the growth of the data centers and their need for electricity, it's kind of Silicon Valley meets Houston. And you talked about the difference in psychology between the tech industry, the hyperscalers over there, and the people who have to build things that take several years to build. So why don't you just, because you're living it, just share your perception.
Well, I'll start with the data point that is your data point, Dan, which is at CERAWeek, which is this large energy conference that Dan hosts every year here in Houston. The number of attendees now that come from the tech sector is just mind-boggling. And 5 years ago, it was a very small number of people. Now it's huge. And it's because they're trying to figure out the energy solutions that support their aspirations. I have met with the CEOs of the, call it the Mag 7 or whatever the acronym is for these great big companies. And they all have this great desire to grow these new tools and technologies. But for them, product life cycles are measured in weeks and months. Engineers are people who sit at computers and write code. And they really don't deal with the physical world. I mean, they get in a car to drive to work, but beyond that, they're developing the virtual world. I was in the metaverse earlier this week, visiting one of them, and so when you talk to them about permitting and land acquisition and long lead items and engineering and the litigation that we face and the complexity of construction and commissioning and startup in the physical world, their eyes kind of glaze over. They're accustomed to, they think there's like a big, they can take an extension cord and go plug in and then start up their data centers. And that's not how it's going to work as we go forward. And so they're really having to grapple with the fact that they want gigawatts of power tomorrow, with the fact that it actually takes years to get the equipment mobilized and the people mobilized to do this. So there's a lot of dialogue underway. There's a lot of work underway across the country to solve this, but it's an enormous challenge. It's what's driving much of the economic activity in the country today.
And it is, as you say, it is Silicon Valley meets Houston, and each is learning from the other.
It is.
As a last question, as an international citizen, really, and one of the reasons this award is so richly deserved, you have been, for a number of years, you're kind of a lonely voice, talking about something called energy pragmatism and calling for a balanced energy conversation. How are we doing now in that dialogue? And how do you see how that's evolved?
Yeah, so you go back, say, 5 years ago. The discussion was primarily driven by concerns about the climate. And I'm in my 43rd year in this industry, and when you talk about energy, there are three things that always matter. Affordability, because energy that you can't afford doesn't change lives. And there are a lot of people in the world that still live in energy poverty, that don't have access to reliable electricity and the things we take for granted. The second thing that matters is reliable supply. Because if the lights are only on 4 hours a day or 8 hours a day, you don't have good schools, you don't have hospitals that can really take care of the needs of a community. You can't build an economy. So affordability, reliability, and then the energy or the environmental impact. And what good policy from governments or good strategy from companies demands is that you balance those three factors in every decision that you make. And you can't over-index on affordability or you'll have an environment that nobody wants. If you over-index on reliability, you'll have a system that gets too expensive. You have too much redundancy. And if all you focus on is the environmental impact, you're going to create risks on the other two. Europe is a great example of this today, where Europe led the charge on climate and woke up one day and realized that they didn't have reliable supply, that when their supplies were threatened, the costs went through the roof. It's kind of gutted the economic core of Europe and their ability to compete. And they've been guided by poor energy policy that was not balanced, that was not pragmatic for many years, and they're paying a price for that. So that's a message that I have tried to deliver for quite some time, It was maybe lonelier a few years ago because it wasn't very popular in most quarters where I would speak. Today, I think we're seeing more balance come into the conversation, and I think there's still room to go in different parts of the world. This is at a different state, but I think there's a recognition now that affordability and reliability also matter, and we can't ignore the environmental impact. But if that's all we focus on, we're going to create unintended outcomes as well.
And of course, that reliability includes energy security
100%.
as part of it. Well, I think it's been a great contribution what you've done. As I say, you were rather lonely doing it, but I think it's had a real impact as you've done it over the years. And so what I'd like to do is ask everybody to join me in congratulating you on a very well-deserved International Citizen of the Year.
Thank you. I'm going to go. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Jahan Jaffapour, Director of Programs for the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston.
Good afternoon. The Global Leaders of Influence Award honors individuals who transcend boundaries and whose vision, courage, and dedication amplifies Houston's voice on the world stage. These honorees come across many fields, from diplomacy, business, science, and community development. Their work drives global progress while remaining deeply rooted in our city's values. Together, their impact helps define Houston's international spirit. Special note of appreciation to Martha Rocks and Marvin McMurray for recently hosting a very memorable Global Leaders reception in their lovely home. Thank you. Now, please welcome to the stage World Affairs Council board members Laura Logan of ExxonMobil and David Adams of Halliburton to present the 2025 Global Leaders of Influence. Joining them on stage, the Council's marketing team, Itziar Vasquez and Maria Guarachi.
So it's now our honor to announce the 2025 Global Leaders of Influence. Ready to start?
Absolutely. Tundi Akbo with HP.
Emilio Armstrong, Armstrong Worldwide Group.
Anika Bergman, Air Gas and Air Liquide Company.
Tadia Diallo, Medical Bridges.
Rick Figueroa, Patron Partners.
Brian Friedman, Bay Area Economic Development and Partnership.
Angela Gildia, KPMG.
Jose Ivo, Honorary Consul of Portugal.
Farouk Khan, Siemens.
Paul Madero, Baker Hughes.
Renea Macarias, Houston Crime Stoppers.
Bruce Mann, RCR Rail Company, McAllister Assets.
Gerald Murfish, Promise Village Academy.
John Mosley, Port of Houston.
Jake Mazawer, Bilingual Education Institute.
Megan Ortiz, Axiom Space.
Daniel Paloma, Houston First Corporation.
Tina Peterman, Masterson Advisors, LLC.
David Reed, NOV.
Sean Scoble, Halliburton.
Cindy Taylor, Oil States.
And finally, Molly Waits, Houston Airport Systems.
And may I present to you the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston's 2025 Global Leaders of Influence.
Congratulations once more. So before we leave, I would like to extend an invitation to all of you for an upcoming program. It's on November 4th. It's an evening dialogue with William Burns. He most recently was the director of the Central Intelligence Agency and a member of President Biden's cabinet. And he was the first career diplomat to lead the CIA. He also served as ambassador to Russia and Jordan and a number of other senior posts. It's going to be a great conversation, so hope you all can join us on November 4th. I hope you all enjoyed the World Affairs Council's 27th annual Jesse H. Jones Awards Luncheon program today. On behalf of the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston, thank you for spending your afternoon with us and for investing in the next generation of leaders. Have a wonderful afternoon, drive safely, and we look forward to seeing you next year at the 2026 International Citizen of the Year Awards Luncheon. Thank you.